The sting of her words sliced through me, but it was the raw truth I stumbled upon that shattered my world. Jill's phone buzzed, and a message flashed across the screen. Can't wait to see you. Love you, Ron. Ron, my old nemesis, the man who once made my life a living hell. The betrayal struck like a double-edged sword, piercing me from both my wife and the one person I despised most. When I confronted her, she didn't bother with excuses. She just flashed a smug grin and said, Ron's better than you in every way. He's got it all, and he makes me feel alive. Her smirk was venomous, and she reveled in it. My response was calculated and swift. The moment reality fractured, I began to forge my vengeance. The text wasn't even concealed. No cryptic aliases, no careful deletions, just a bold, careless declaration. Can't wait to see you. Love you, Ron. Ron of all people. Not some faceless stranger or a coworker I'd never met, but Ron, the same vile creature who tormented me in college, who spread lies about me, who nearly destroyed my first serious relationship, who mocked me until I was almost too broken to recover. And now, he was entwined with my wife. My hands trembled as I held the phone toward Jill. Explain this, I demanded, my voice sharp and jagged. She barely glanced up from her magazine, shrugged and smirked. Ron's better than you in every way, she said, tapping her coffee mug with a mocking rhythm. He's got it all, she added with a vicious chuckle. And he makes me feel alive. I stood frozen, the fury within me crystallizing into something colder, more resolute, unbreakable. She thought she'd crush me in that moment. She didn't realize she'd just unleashed her own undoing. When you've lost everything, you become untamed. I didn't hurl the phone, didn't raise my voice, didn't even slam the door. I simply stared at Jill, truly seeing her for the first time. Her disdain was undisguised, as if I were a discarded trinket she no longer valued. And Ron, the demon from my past, the one I vowed would never slither back into my life, he hadn't just returned. He'd stormed in and defiled everything I'd built. But they overlooked one crucial detail. A man who's already hollowed out has nothing left to fear. And a man with nothing to fear becomes unstoppable. Before uttering another word to her, I fortified my foundation. I froze our joint accounts, removed her from every credit card, every subscription, every shared arrangement. I changed the locks the next morning, while she was out on her clandestine rendezvous. No arguments, no warnings, just silent, precise excision. When she returned and her key failed, the bewilderment on her face was almost poetic. I wasn't foolish. I knew true vengeance had to be lawful and ironclad. That night, I hired a private investigator and gave him two names, Jill Matthews and Ron Havley. Track them, I instructed. Document everything. Within a week, he delivered a dossier. Hotel receipts under aliases, photos of them entwined, kissing in dimly lit parking lots like reckless teenagers. Messages where they mocked pathetic Johnny behind my back. They were brazen, arrogant, careless. Perfect. Every cruel jest they shared was another arrow in my quiver. I let them revel in their delusion before I struck. Patience was the hardest part. Every fiber of my being urged me to tear through their world, to barge into their seedy hotel room, and drag Ron out by his throat. But I restrained myself. True vengeance isn't explosive, it's meticulous. The longer they believed they'd won, the more devastating their collapse would be. I didn't just want to punish Jill. I wanted Ron obliterated too. I started methodically, retrieving the prenup Jill had signed so carelessly, oblivious to the infidelity clause tucked within its fine print. I compiled every text, every email, every call log linking her to him, traced every transaction they made while she was still bound to me by law. This wasn't merely a divorce, it was a financial guillotine. I waited until she began boasting to her friends about her newfound freedom, about how Ron awakened feelings I never could, about how she'd drained Johnny in court. Her words were captured, archived, time-stamped. Like a predator emerging from the shadows, I filed for divorce, citing adultery, and submitted motions for asset protection and immediate property division. My evidence was so airtight my lawyer grinned as he reviewed it. "This is a precision strike," he said. "She'll lose everything she thinks she's owed." And Ron, he was about to discover that meddling in another man's life puts your own at risk. While he was sneaking around with Jill, He breached the morals clause in his corporate executive contract. Thank you, LinkedIn, for your oversharing updates. One anonymous tip later, his HR department initiated a formal inquiry into conduct unbecoming of a company officer. Jill was served divorce papers at Ron's apartment, delivered on a Sunday morning, while they were still tangled in their illicit sheets. She called me, livid, shrieking into my voicemail. I let it ring. Her words, once razor-sharp, were now just static. When you show leniency, they mistake it for weakness. I offered none. After the court filings, panic set in. I didn't need surveillance to see it. Jill's social media pivoted to cryptic posts about healing journeys. Ron's LinkedIn status shifted from executive director to open to work. Their mutual friends vanished from their pages like leaves in a storm. Their rebellion was crumbling, and I hadn't even played my strongest hand. First, financial annihilation. Jill was barred from every account. She was legally liable for half our shared debts, which I'd strategically amplified with major purchases before filing. All legal, all documented. She wouldn't get the house, spousal support, or even the furniture. The prenup was unbreakable, and her infidelity ensured I retained all assets. She'd leave with nothing but her wardrobe and her shame. Second, social exile. I never slandered her publicly. I simply let the truth spread. Mutual friends saw the court evidence. Family received discreet updates about the proceedings. Professional circles murmured about Ron's entanglement with another man's wife and his subsequent downfall. I didn't need to shout. People pieced it together themselves. One afternoon, Jill appeared at my doorstep, clad in a faded hoodie, her face gaunt and desperate. "John," she murmured, "please, we can fix this." I opened the door just enough to meet her gaze, my expression unyielding. "You didn't just cheat. You didn't just betray me. You chose him. You ridiculed me. You mocked everything I gave you. And now you think you deserve forgiveness." Tears brimmed in her eyes, genuine this time, not the theatrical displays from our marriage. "Please," she repeated. I leaned closer. "Go ask Ron to fix it." Then I shut the door. While Jill and Ron floundered in the wreckage of their stolen fantasy, I rebuilt. I sold the old house, bought a larger one with cash, and poured myself into my career. New clients, new networks, new wealth. I invested in ventures they could only dream of, traveled to places they'd never see, dined with views of oceans they'd only glimpse in pictures. I trained relentlessly, forging a stronger, faster, tougher version of myself, emotionally impregnable. The loyal stayed, the doubters faded, and I never mourned them. I didn't waste breath on justifications, or energy on reconciliation. I didn't just survive, I thrived, because thriving was the one revenge they couldn't dismiss. I didn't block Jill or Ron's numbers. I let them see the promotions, the vacations, the steadfast friends, the new relationships rooted in trust, not deceit. Every time they glanced at a screen, every time my name surfaced at gatherings they were no longer welcome at, they faced the truth. They chose each other and forfeited everything else. Sometimes in the quiet of night, I recalled that day, the text, her smirk, Ron's triumphant laughter. Now they were the punchline, the warning tale, the proof that betrayal extracts a steeper price than trust. It costs your entire future. Meanwhile, I forged an empire from the rubble.